Good morning and welcome to my kitchen. Today I've got the most incredible recipe. I'm going to share with you my secrets and tips on how to make the perfect fresh pasta, turn it into tortellini, and then we're going to fill that pasta with roasted squash, ricotta, thyme and parmesan. Serve it up in a beautiful butter and walnut sauce. It's going to be amazing. Right, for the pasta, we need to make the filling first, and we're going to use some butternut squash. So we won't actually need all of this for our recipe, but I would roast it all anyway, and I would turn the rest of it into soup because it makes the most incredible velvety rich soup, okay? But first of all, we're going to cut it in half. So a big knife in the middle, and just go down. Don't try and chop the whole thing in one go, otherwise you'll end up losing fingers. Turn it round, go back into that cut, in and down, okay? And once you've got it in half, it's much easier to manage, okay? So, have you made fresh pasta before, Emily?
Oh, a long time ago.
Long time ago? And was it filled or just
no,
rolled?
That's pushing it.
Fresh pasta for me is a labour of love, and you have to pick the right time to do it. And I know most of you out there watching have got a pasta machine tucked away in the cupboard, right at the back, next to the bread maker, you know, next to the yogurt maker and all those sort of things. It's one of those things that gets tucked away, but dust it off, all right? Next time it's a rainy afternoon, Sunday afternoon or something like that, and you think, do you know what? I'm going to do that. Get it out and make this recipe, okay? So, I've just used a spoon to take away all the seeds. Now, to speed up the roasting process and to get all the moisture out of this so that we're just left with flavour and texture, you need to take a knife and score the flesh, okay? I'm going to do it that way so I don't lose my fingers. I haven't actually cut myself on this programme yet, have I?
Let's not say that, thank you very much.
How long have we been making this programme for now, Emily? 2.5 years?
2.5 years, yeah.
No casualties yet.
Please don't say that.
Yeah, but you know, we're all thinking it out there. Right, so we're just going to score it nice and carefully, and that will open up the texture, and it just means we'll get a much better roast, okay? So let's put that one onto the tray. We'll do this one. I'm feeling under pressure now not to cut myself.
Yeah, well, you shouldn't have said that, should you?
I'll be fine. Oops. Okay. Right, let's pop those onto the tray. Let's get rid of these seeds here.
Can you use any type of squash?
Yeah, pumpkin, squash. Yeah. The difference is usually the amount of water that's in them.
Yeah.
Because when they grow them, they drink a huge amount of water.
I suppose as well, butternut squashes are in all year round, aren't they?
Yeah, pretty much. Pumpkins aren't. Certainly not in the UK anyway, so... Right. So what we need to do is, and you'll see the sort of the water, the moisture's seeping out straight away as soon as we cut it. So, nice drizzle of olive oil, good amount of salt, will draw the moisture out, and because it's sweet butternut squash, it will take that seasoning to draw it all out, okay? So let's season it up. You could put garlic in here as well if you wanted to, and then when we squeeze it all out together, it'll be amazing. So that's going to go into the oven, 170 degrees. I would roast that for an hour because these are quite big, solid, chunky pieces, and you really want to cook them and get all that moisture out. Right, so the squash is roasted, and you can see that I have really well roasted these, yeah? Because I wanted to get absolutely all the moisture out and intensify the flavour and the texture, okay? So, let's just lift these out, put that to one side. Now remember, if you've got any questions at all, please do post them in the comments below. I am here to help, okay? And that is the beauty of this program, is you can actually ask questions, and I'm here in real time to answer them for you. So we're just going to take a spoon, and just push the flesh away, okay? That is all we need to do. There we go. And that caramelization of the squash as well is just, it's going to mean flavour, which is what you want. You want good flavour. If you're going to fill pasta, you want it to have an amazing flavour. And it has completely changed in its texture. It's super fluffy and light. Okay. Right. That is our butternut squash. So let's get that into a bowl. And I'll give this a quick wipe. Right, so we have got our butternut squash. Use the back of your spoon just to sort of soften it down a little bit, and then we're going to add some ricotta cheese. So that's just going to make it really nice and creamy and light. Okay, so it's really easy to get hold of. You could add a little bit of mascarpone if you wanted to. If you didn't want to add any dairy to this, you could just do the squash on its own, and that's absolutely fine.
Question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if this sounds a bit stupid.
That's all right. There's no such thing as a stupid question.
What is the difference between ricotta and mascarpone? Like, in how it's made that makes
Well, a mascarpone is very thick and rich and dense and more creamy. Ricotta is like the first stage of cheese. Right. So all you've done is really separate the curd and the whey and you're draining it. So it's more milky, whereas mascarpone is more creamy. Yeah. Okay?
Yeah. It comes from the same milk.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cow's milk, it's Italian cheese. Yeah, it's almost a bit like our clotted cream mascarpone. It's got that really thick, rich, dense texture, whereas ricotta is just curd and whey separated. If you took ricotta and salted it and left it in a cave for a year, it'd be like a proper cheese.
Yeah.
Right.
Learned something new.
There you go, you see? Okay, so I'm just going to separate my egg here because I only want the yolk in there. Just one, just to firm it up a little bit.
Just push your bowl in a little bit, Pete.
There you go.
Yeah.
And then we're going to add some parmesan. So we're just sort of making a really nice filling for our pasta, and then I'm going to show you how to make fresh pasta. Okay. So dust off your machines and get ready. Okay, and then we'll take a little bit of time. We're going to use some of this in our butter sauce, but I want to add a little bit into our filling as well. You could add fresh sage, rosemary, or thyme.
You just pinched me question.
I'm sorry. Any of those three herbs would work really, really well.
What other types of fillings could you do?
Oh,
fresh pasta.
all sorts you could do. I mean, obviously, pumpkin, butternut squash. You could take sausage meat and mix it with ricotta and eggs and breadcrumbs and soften it up. It's really nice. I remember when I was training as a chef in London, we would make an egg yolk ravioli. So we had to put a little bit of ricotta inside your ravioli, put an egg yolk in, and then wrap it all up without breaking the egg yolk, and then we would have to cook them perfectly so that the egg yolk was runny. So, you know, you could add crab, lobster, salmon trimmings with a little bit of with a bit of ricotta and an egg and some parmesan, and you almost make like a mousse.
Yeah. And
then you put it in your pasta. You could do a walnut one. Ooh. You could blend walnuts, garlic, parmesan, ricotta again, egg yolk, and it would be all kind of
like a pesto for the middle.
Yeah, and you could add it to the middle. So you can see there, I mean, you could stir this through pasta if you wanted. You don't have to fill pasta. But I thought it'd be really good to sort of show you how the pasta machines should be used properly. Because a lot of people have them, or have been bought them, and they kind of go away in the cupboard and they stay there.
Guilty.
Exactly. And then they go on eBay, and then, and then you see me doing this, and you think, I should get a pasta machine again. And you repeat the cycle, but don't. Hang on to it or get one. Okay? So that is our filling. I'm going to put that in a piping bag in a minute, ready to fill our pasta. So we can get rid of the chopping board now, for now. give it a little wipe, and we're going to make pasta. Love making fresh pasta. Right, we need scales, and I need a bowl. So we're going to go 275 grams of double O pasta flour. It is important that you get pasta flour because it is double O, which means it's durum wheat and it's been milled twice. Most flour is O, double O flour is for pasta, so it's been milled twice, okay? So 275 grams of flour. Now, if it's not quite mixed how you would want it to, add a drop of water as you're doing it, okay? But let's start with 375. And if you want, just chuck it in the food processor. But I thought I'd do a quiet shoot today. And we'll do it by hand, okay? So that is the weighing over. Done with that bit. So we'll make a little well in the middle, just because I want to, really, for no real culinary reason other than that. And then we'll just go 1 egg, 2 eggs, and our 3rd egg into there. And then I think an egg yolk helps. Well, not a whole egg, just the yolk on this one.
I was just about to ask you that.
Well, yeah.
People say about adding egg yolks to enrich.
Yeah, it's not essential, but there isn't quite enough liquid with 3 eggs. But that 4th egg, but make it a yolk only. Okay? And then just to help it along a tiny little bit, like literally that much oil. Not even a teaspoon, barely half a teaspoon. Okay?
How many people would this serve if you were just a bit normal?
If you were just making normal pasta, this served 4 people. Not just normal if you were making spaghetti or something like that. Usually they work on 100 grams and an egg per person.
Yeah.
But it's not quite right. It's not far off, but and most flours will depend. And you guys are all around the world watching this, so you know many people's flour is slightly different. Everybody's eggs are slightly different size, temperature of kitchen, you know, all these things can affect it, which is why I'm going to talk to you about what texture it should be, what its appearance should be, just to make sure that you know all the characteristics of pasta before you mix it. And then you know what you can do to adjust it. So it's looking a bit like pastry dough at the moment. And what we're going to do is we're just going to turn it out now. Get it all out. Now it just needs a bit more compression. So it's all sort of a bit grainy. Doesn't look much like pasta dough, does it, at the moment? Okay. Let's just use your hands and start to mix the dough, okay? And start to work it. And we've got to develop the gluten. So durum wheat is particularly high in proteins, and as a consequence is high in gluten, which is what you want for good pasta. You want to develop a tough, stretchy dough, okay? So you just knead it and knead it. And at first it's quite sort of grainy and it's not smooth and nice like you see on the TV programs when you make it. But if you just keep working the dough, so use the palm of your hand and push the dough away and then pull it back and just keep doing that. But
You wouldn't think something like that would make pasta, would you?
no, it just needs a bit of work and then it needs to rest.
What would happen, obviously you use a pasta machine to like roll it out.
Yeah.
What would happen if you didn't do this process and just kind of left it as it?
So you'd find that the pasta dough won't shrink and it won't stretch, and it needs to stretch as it goes through the rollers. It gets thinner and thinner and thinner, and if it hasn't developed the gluten, it won't take that lovely stretch, and it'll sort of fall apart really. So that's why you need to have you need to have the right flour, and you need to put the right work in. But you could put this in a mixer, no problem. You could put it in a food processor and it would very quickly develop, and then just rest it, okay? But now you can see that this has changed. It's a smoother dough. Can you see that, Emily? Look, it's changing, it's becoming smoother. It's not quite ready yet. Another couple more minutes, and then I'll show you when it is ready. So you can see just by kneading it, I've just cleaned the worktop of any little bits. But look, can you see how smooth it is now, Emily? And if I pass that to you, in terms of how different it feels, now it feels really nice, doesn't it? Yeah. So we've developed the gluten in it, and it's super smooth now and pliable. But what it needs to do is rest, because we've stretched it and we've worked it. It just needs to go. And it'll just tighten back up and it'll be ready then for the pasta machine. So I'm going to pop this in the fridge. I've made some earlier so we can keep this going. Yeah. So take your dough in a ball. So we've cut it into 4 pieces, and just press it down and just start to roll it flat. Don't need a rolling pin. You can just use your hands and just work the dough so that it can go through the machine. Now, it's really important that you start on the widest setting, because what we're going to do is condition this dough before we then shrink it down and make it thinner and longer. So you put it through the first setting on its widest setting, and it's just pressing the dough. Okay? Fold it over, and then where the fold is, put that back into the machine and put it through again. And do exactly the same again. So fold it and then put it through the machine. Fold first. And you need to do this 10 times before it's ready to then stretch the dough, okay? So that's 3 times I've done. Yeah.
So, yeah, you did that.
There we go. So once you get going, and just grab a little flour. You don't need much flour at all on this. All right? If you've kneaded and worked your dough and then rested it properly, you won't need a ton of flour. Okay? This is a job for children.
Right.
You know?
It's like Play-Doh to them, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when they're sort of on school holidays or they're hungry. Well, the quicker you do it, the quicker you eat. And they love pasta. So, unfortunately, my children are out. So, fold it over. And you can turn it the other way if you want to, just to get it going through. There's loads of settings as well. You can get like ones for KitchenAids as well that you can attach to it if you're feeling that way. But it gives you a good little workout, and like you say, everyone who's got a pasta machine tucked away in the cupboard, get it out. There's nothing better than fresh pasta. I love it. Especially when you've got the time. You've got to have the time to do it. You can't rush fresh pasta, but it is a nice thing to do. Like an Italian nonna just sat there on a piazza outside her house making pasta for the family for tea. Can you remember how many times I've done this?
Oh, you must be, I think you're nearly there now.
Must be nearly there. Okay, last one. Right, so that's gone through 10 times now, so it is ready to stretch out. So I'm going to go to the next setting and shrink it down 1. Okay, we do not need to fold it now because what we're trying to do is stretch our dough. So just lay it in and run it through. Okay, so that's 1. On to the next one. Okay, so this is going through its final run. So we're on setting number 6. You can go thinner if you want, but you need the pasta to be able to keep hold of the filling, all right? So, and a top tip is use the back of your hands to move the pasta around, because if you use your fingertips, it'll push through and you run the risk of tearing it. But there is our sheet of pasta. So I'm just going to grab my polenta, ground polenta or semolina, because the pasta will sit on the pasta, it'll sit on the polenta and it won't dry out, but it will move about, which is what we want it to be able to do. All right? With me so far, Emily, yeah?
Yes.
Right, so I've got my mixture. So this is the roasted butternut squash. It's got ricotta cheese in it, parmesan. It's got an egg yolk in it, a little bit of fresh thyme and a little bit of black pepper. No salt because we use plenty on the roasting of the squash. So we're going to use this pasta and we're going to fold it in half. Okay, so I'm just going to put a squeeze of filling there. And I'm going to leave like 2 finger gap between the two. Yeah? So what you can do is, this pasta works really well because you can actually freeze this as well. So, you know, if you've got the time and it's a rainy day and you want to do this, make good use of your time. Make some for another day. Make once, use twice. That's what I say. Okay.
That looks really satisfying, that.
Yeah, there's something very enjoyable about making fresh pasta, but it is a lot of work. But when you taste it, you really do taste the difference. Right, so water. You only need water to stick the pasta together. And the reason why we've done this is I'm going to be able to fold this sheet over so we have one less join. Okay, so you just want to paint your water around the filling. Now, please remember, if you've got any questions at all about today's recipes or any of our recipe episodes, post them in the comments below. I'm here to help. I will be able to answer them as best I can. If I can't answer them straight away, I will get you an answer. But I am always here. While you're watching, I am here ready to help. And now, the other week, somebody sent me a message. Now, what was it they made? It was the Moroccan butternut squash soup episode, so in New Year. And they'd gone off and they'd made it and they sent pictures of it. And it was really nice to see people who've made the same recipe that I've done on the programme. So if you are one of those people that cooks from this show, send us a picture. We like to see your versions. It's always good. You usually test most recipes as well, don't you?
Yep.
I make them up as I go along and you test them, don't you?
Yeah.
Actually, Pete, it works.
9 times out of 10 it works.
Yeah, only 9 times out of 10.
Oh, there's been some dodgy Marmite recipes in the past, Pete.
I know. I need to make Marmite bagels, it's on my mind. Right, so we've brushed all the way around and now all we need to do is fold the pasta over, and this is just a nice way to make sure that we get a good seal, okay? So pull your pasta all the way over. Just be nice and gentle. It's kind of the lightest of touches, okay? Who knew I could be so gentle?
I know, so dainty.
I am. When it comes to kitchen, I am.
Yeah.
I used to have to do hundreds of these a day when I was training to be a chef.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, fresh pasta. I loved it, to be honest. So I'm just, those 2 finger widths, this is why we've done it this way. So we're just working and dividing our pasta like so. And then make sure you get all the air out as best you can. Air is your enemy on this because when that goes into the hot boiling water, it will expand and that's when you run the risk of your pasta popping, you see. So work from the fold out and that'll help push the air out, okay? So, Carlos. Right, so we wanted to, I said we were going to make tortellini, didn't I?
Yeah.
So you want a circular cutter, and then what we're going to do is I'm just going to cut this one now. You want a half circle like that, yeah? And then just press it. Can we see that all right?
Yeah.
So, see if I remember my pasta folds, okay? So what you do is you take the 2 ends. It's a nice simple one, this, you see. You basically take those 2 corners and you fold one over the top of the other and you squeeze them together. And that will make tortellini, okay? Do you see? Like so. So it's quite simple. It's like you could, very simply, just take a pasta wheel like this. I'll show you one of those. Which one would you like me to cut? One of the end ones?
Yeah, this end, please.
This one end. So this is a pasta cutter or a pastry cutter, whichever you prefer, for masterclass. One is fluted, one is clean. We'll use the fluted one. And you could just do that, that, and that. And there you've got tortellini if you want to. Okay? Sit it on some polenta and then put it to one side and it's ready for the pot. But I'm going to do my tortellini. So I'm just going to cut all of these. Cut that one there. That one there. Cut these like so. There we go. One more. So you take all your trimmings and you can rework those if you want to. But let's get back to making tortellini. So you just grab your ends and you twist them round and fold them over each other, okay?
Teacher would be proud.
Yeah. So let's go. Right, just need to check. There's a little bit of air there. So work from your fold and work and just push as much air out as you can. And then take the two ends and you just pull them together and fold them over. Okay, like so.
It's quite a step I've heard.
I know, it isn't it? It's because I'm using a lot of brain power. It is, it does. So it's trying to sort of remember it. And you do it so instinctively when you do it a lot, but I haven't made pasta for a long time, to be honest. It always makes me want to do pasta again.
Yeah.
I enjoy making it.
And then you never get around to doing it again, do you?
No, I'm saying...
You really enjoy it the once, and then you think, oh, I'll do it more often, and you just... Life becomes busy, doesn't it?
Just the same as everybody else. It's like, you think, I'm going to do that.
Chefy condition of where you're in a restaurant where you're making it all the time.
Yeah, when it's your job, you do it all the time, but then, you know, you forget and time takes over, and that's why it's nice to just grab the moments and do it when you can. You know, and if you don't want to fold them like I'm doing, use the pizza cut, use the little pastry cutter, make ravioli, still taste the same.
Yeah.
You know?
How do you, again, possibly a bit of a stupid question.
No, there's no such thing as a stupid question, Emily. We said that.
How do you dry pasta?
Yeah, that's a stupid question.
You know, like,
No, I'm kidding. How do you dry pasta? So you would dry just straight cut pasta. You wouldn't dry fresh pasta.
You wouldn't dry that type of pasta.
You could just hang it up on a.
Do
you know what you do? You open your cupboard door and you just lay it on there and leave it to dry.
Anywhere.
Yeah, anywhere. As long as you know you can get it dry, and then it will keep for longer.
Even though it's got eggs in it.
Yeah, because you dry it. I mean, you're not going to keep it forever, are you? No. But you kind of. I'm not sure drying pasta is as relevant as it used to be.
It's almost then if you make it fresh, you eat it fresh, don't you?
I would, yeah. Have it here ready, have the pan ready to go and off,
You
off.
Use what you make, isn't it?
Yeah, I would say so. So, in terms of, let's show you how we make this today. Right, so, I've got my pan of salted boiling water. These are going to take about 2 to 3 minutes max, all right? So, we've sat them here on the polenta. This is a nice big pan, and which needs to be for pasta. You cannot get them into little pans. You want a great big pan, let them have the space they need to swim around, okay? So I'm going to let those cook while we make our sauce. And I'll tell you, our sauce is super simple. So we get a nice pan on. I'll just move that over there because I'm going to make, once we finish filming, I'm going to make loads of fresh pasta for our dinner. All right, so garlic. I don't even need a chopping board for this, really. Oh, cool. So I want a nice clove of garlic, decent size, not too big, not too small. Okay, let's grab my knife, put my knife over the top of my garlic and just crack it, and we'll just unpeel it. I don't want this to be like full-on garlicky. Okay, so we're just going to use it whole, but cracked, so we get flavour coming out. I've got some butter, as we like butter. We've got some olive oil, so we'll get some olive oil in the pan. And then we get our butter in next. And this is going to be our sauce. Okay. So there we go. And then we're going to put our garlic in. And then I've got some nice fresh thyme from the garden. And I'm just going to strip the stems off. You hear that crackling? Yeah. That's how you know the flavours are kind of coming out and working their way into the butter. Lovely. And then I've got some California walnuts. Love these. They're definitely the best ones. And we're just going to break them up in our hand. Because you want this to be realistic, that we can make this sauce while the pasta's cooking. You know, you're not chefs out there. You haven't necessarily got the skill set to be able to manage everything that's going on like chefs do. This is home cooking. So you need to be able to make it while your pasta is cooking. Otherwise, it's quite unrealistic. Right, nearly there. So our pasta's cooking. I want to take some of the water out of my pasta and add it into here, okay? And this will make what we call an emulsion. So what we're doing is we're taking the butter and the oil and the water and we're emulsifying them together with the starches that have come out of the pasta to make a lovely sort of silky dressing of a sauce, okay? And then in with a little Parmesan, because we're going to put some on the top when we're done.
I like your definition of a little.
Yeah, but with it, when you use like these super fine graters,
I like Parmesan, that's what I mean.
They kind of, it goes a long way, Parmesan, when you use one of those graters. And look how sort of creamy it's gone now without adding cream. Yeah?
Yeah.
But I know what you mean. Right.
All chefs' version of a little bit.
All chefs, well, big flavours, that's what we want. Right, are we ready for some pasta?
I think so.
Okay, so I'm just going to lift the pasta out of the pan, straight into the sauce. Okay? This is all real-time cooking. We're not messing about, no tricks, no reheating. While the pasta cooks, we make the sauce. And it is all about just bringing some beautiful flavours together. You see? You see that? That's what we want. Now that dressing is coating the pasta and it's just kind of lapping over it so that it just kind of absorbs a little bit. So it's not like, you know, you dump a big tomato sauce, pile of tomato sauce on top of your dry pasta. This is how the Italians do it, okay? And look, can you see how creamy that's gone now, Emily? And there's not an ounce of cream in there. Not an ounce. Okay? All I'm going to do now is fish out the garlic because it's not cooked. It's kind of done its job. It's just made everything, given it a little hint of garlic. Now, before I put this on the plate, is that in the right place for you?
A little bit further across. I'll tell you what. Keep going. Yes.
Okay. So all you need to do is just pop it onto the plate. Okay. There we go. And you can see, I mean, have a taste of that, Emily. You saw what went into that. How creamy does that look? And how sort of rich and delicious and, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Isn't it nice? A little bit of black pepper. And I like a touch of olive oil at the end because you get that silkiness on it. Okay? You just get a lovely silky finish and you really taste the olive oil. And then finish with good Reggiano Parmesan. And there you go. That is how to make the most delicious pasta. This is tortellini filled with roasted squash, ricotta, fresh thyme, and it's served in a garlic, walnut and thyme sauce. Now, if you want the recipe, scan the QR code along the bottom or go to petersidwell.com. You will find this recipe there, along with all our recipes from all our other programs, other recipes that we create. But if you want to cook this, get your pasta machine out, get into your kitchen and have a go. It is a labour of love that tastes amazing. Now, thank you very much for watching, and please, if you like this programme, share it on your Facebook feed or your YouTube Let people know about the program so more people can enjoy cooking. But thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next episode.